what we should stay, like in person or online or whatsoever, right? So mostly today there will be no you know a real lecture, just the overview of the course and what is the course about. Um, so hope only that's one. So let me see. Okay, so that is this. Uh, yeah. So the course is web application programming and hacking. Half of the time today, I will explain to you what does this mean by web application programming and hacking. So that is the course overview. And then I will talk about the logistics of the course and the expectation, right? Um, so I assume and I believe that everyone uh, are familiar with the web, uh, right? Uh, and you might already know that like it's long history, about 30 years and more than 30 years, right? But at the beginning, the web is really simple. It's just HTML page. But then we have like the next version of the web. It's like interaction the web, and then the third web. Nowadays, like it's very popular. It will have a read write, but also it's called verifiable. Um, and it's still going on. Like people is talking about Web 4.0, 5.0, thing like that, right? However, there is a common and it's still the foundation of the web is based on the HTTP protocol. You agree? So HTTP protocol stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Um, so this protocol is a standards between two parties, like web browser and web server. So this protocol is to transfer the file. So this file is on web-based, normally web-based, right? From web server to the web client when a client requests. I note here that all of these versions, like web 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, I mean, in the future, maybe 4.0, 5.0, it's still based on HTTP. It's still based on. So it's very important for us to understand a little bit more. So just for your head up, next week we will understand about, like we have a lab to understand more about this, right? So web-based and HTTP protocols are something that we will cover in this class, right? So you know that web-based is just a regular HTML file, the file, right? It's written in it's called HTML, and we will cover that later. Um, I just give you just one fun web page. Not sure if you have ever seen this web page. I believe you've seen this web page, but have you ever visited this web page before? Have you ever viewed the code of the page? You know how to view the code? You know how to view the code, right? So if you view the code of this web page, um, you will see something like this. If you read in this, we need your help using back matter. So it's mean that like they target some people that know, more than just view the web page, right? So actually web page, so this is what people will see. This is what you, the developer, will build, right? So you build something like that, people will see something like that. So in this class, we build one of these, right? And as I mentioned, there's two sides of the web, browser side and server side. And normally the web server will, uh, when the client send a request to the server will be able to respond and send the response back to the client. Uh, Normally the web page, if the web page normally is will be in the status uh, task file, or maybe it's generated on the fly by web application. So this is the keyword web application, right? So web application is an application, and we'll discuss a little bit later. But the idea is that they run inside a web server. So web application and web server are two different things. I explain to you later and further. Um, and then when the server send the response to the client um, will receive that and then render the page and display that accordingly. So that's two sides, right? Here is a typical scenario of web application. You can see, like, have you familiar with this one? That is the one you use every day, right? The the Canvas system. So this is an example. So is the front page normally is the same for everyone, but then they ask for you to log in. So they ask for username and password, and then at back end, they will do something to authenticate, and then later on it's display the content just for you. Like so everyone have different after login is different. So that is the example of the web application, right? Um, so it's not just a web page, but it's have some entry level, and then the user provide the input, and then the server get the data from that input, and then process the data, and then do something, and then return back to the client. So that's web application. Uh, More formally, the definition of the web application is that is client server application is and it's based on HTTP protocols. So that's why as I say, every application, web application in the past or in the future is still based on HTTP. So it's important to understand this later. So we do that next week. So at the server side, there are server programs that run at the server side. Some people they do say it's called backend application or server side application. So in this backend application, there are some computation, right? And then it can also interact with other application, let's say database servers. Um, and then it's return the results after the computation. So when normally the result is just uh, the test file, the web page as I mentioned earlier, and that normally will be a client interface. The client interface will be the UI, so it's called like user interface, something like that, and then it will return at the web page to the browser, and people call it like the front end of client side. And then in the front end, there may be some program inside. So that program written in different languages. So nowadays it's JavaScript, right? So in this class, uh, we will cover this, right? We'll cover how to develop this, like how to run, uh, write the application at the back end, how to develop the client interface in the front end. And also we will deal with the database, the database as well. Yeah. Right. Uh, so let me do this here. Okay. So right. So we write like back end, database, front end. Um, you may ask the question like, uh, so what are different between back end and front end, right? Or web page and web applications. Are they completely different? Are they related or whatsoever? I have some explanation for you here. So web page is just a blank test. It's just a test file. So as I said, it's written in HTML format, and we will do some hand-ons for this later. Is the thing here that it can include some application inside that, and that application nowadays is mostly JavaScript, and we'll cover that later. Flash is still there, but it's very, very uncommon. And then at the server side, there's an application. It's called web application. Of course, because it's application, web application is an application, right? And it's that application run inside the web server, and it can interact with the web server. So because it's an application, it can handle the data, and then it can do some computation and generate the data back to the to the user. And of course, because this application, so it can customize the data so that every user maybe have a different data. It's not the same for everyone. I have a visualization for you here to get a little bit more. So let's say here is the regular, we can say this is web 1.0. The client just send the request to the server, and the server will do something, get it back to client, and then the client browser will display the content. In the web application scenario is similar. However, there will be an application here. There will be an application here, like it's together with the web server. And then if there is a request, the web server, of course, the web server will handle the request first. And normally there's data with the request. And then the application will be involved from that one, do some computation. And of course, this application can interact with some other application, like for example, the database. Then it will return the result. And the result normally is customized, right? So here are some common, right? Facebook, Google, or I mean, Canvas, some application. So how to develop the web application? So that is the main course, the main content of this course, right? So we will learn how to develop web application, and we learn like step by step. So we will um, we will learn like from front end and then to the back end and then to the application like this. Um, and I just want to give you an overview of the um, uh, the web application technologies. Like this is also it's not like mapping to the web one, web two, web three, but it's similar like that. So um, the first generation of the web is just the static web, right? HTML, JavaScript, maybe JavaScript later on. But then they have the first generation of real web application. So in that application is written in any programming language, let's say C or at that time or Perl or Python whatsoever. It's called CGI application. So it just combined into the. Oh, you have to link. Can you come back about something? Oh. I don't know. So it's really just you want to introduce me and then okay, okay, yeah, fine, yeah. All right, so yeah, so that is the first generation, and then later on there is second generation that is more common, easier for the developer to write the code. It is like PHP. Um, so so that is or Python or ASP, Java Servlet or whatsoever. So PHP is one of the most popular language right now for web application. And in this class, we will use that language for development. And we also have a third generation. It's still not popular, but it's still like it's emerging language right now. Let's say Node.js or Golang, and it's written in different way. I will introduce to you in this, like for example, I will introduce to you Node.js as well later on in this class. but most likely we will um, cover the highlight that I mentioned here. So we will cover the full stack web application development in this class. What are full stack, right? So full stack is like we cover the front end, back end, and the database together. Uh, and there are different stacks. So we will focus on LAMP stack, that JavaScript, Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. And the Linux one is the one that we use Ubuntu, that I asked you to do the homework. Because I didn't request the submission, so I'm not sure how many of you finished that. Maybe I need to have a survey, but yeah, but that's fun. Yeah, we can figure it out later. Any questions so far? So today I will, as I mentioned, I will talk about web application and programming. Uh, so then I will talk. The next question is about hacking, web hacking, and then the overview of the course. So I suppose some time for you if you have any question. No? All right. So I received some, not some, but at least one or two question about what is the hacking, like what do I need to know before this class? So the answer is that you don't need to know anything about hacking before this class, right? But the question here is, why should developer know about hacking, right? The reality is that most of the web developers do not know how to hack to web application. And that is the reality. How can you be hacked? So, so is, yeah, it's web application. Yes, yes, this is. All right. So yeah, most of the developer they don't know how to hack, and without knowing the hacking, so they may not ask the question, okay, if I do this way, how can it be hacked, right? And and they don't care about the hacking, so that's why they only care about the functionality. I just talked with some company recently, and they also agree with me like that. Okay, they and I will give a talk like similar to this course in a company in a month or so about this, and they're very excited about this. So they don't. They said, okay, their developer don't know how to hack or don't know about hacking, and of course the programming book, of course, normally do not teach this. They just do like development, but they do not um, do the hacking, right? So and by the way, this is the new course ever, the first course I offer ever. But of course, it's not new. It's not everything new. I just combined. I have a course in web development. I have a course in hacking, but I never combined them. So this is the first time I combine them together into one course. Thanks to Dr. Kahei that he hosts me at the visiting scholar here in this semester at UC. Um, so because of do not like the hacker the without hacker mindset, they don't that the developer only focus on the functionality, and they left the securities, black. So that's why the software is vulnerable, and because of software is vulnerable with this, it's lead to a lot of attacks, right? So I give you one example, maybe two examples. um, So the first example is the one that we will do later. And I believe you may do it already. Uh, this is a very simple one, right? Um, check in username and password. Um, maybe you know how to do this. Maybe you do not know how to do it. It doesn't matter, right? So my question for you is, if I ask you to write a web application like this, so you don't need to go, but like, what is the overview idea of this? That you write the UI with the input, username input, the password input. And then at the back end, you get the input You get the username, you get the password. And probably you will read the file, or if you have a database, you will connect to the database and send the request to the database. Hey, can you check this username and password in your database? And the database will say yes or no. And then you return, okay, welcome, or invalid username and password. Is that the normally the process you're doing, right? Anything missing in that? That is a very, yeah. So that is a very simple. It's like get input, compare, and then output. And most of the developer they do this way. So there is normally they go with, of course they do say code the test some test case, and then they do, and then they give that to the production, and then okay, you know, it will be it will be live, right? But there is one thing that is very common also is missing in this step. It's called input validation. That is the most common mistake. So they do not care about what the input is. So what if the input is too long? Or what the input is something like this. So so you maybe you as the developer you don't care, right? If it's too long, then it's fail, right? I don't care. It's just fail. Or it's something like invalid. It's just fail. So you as a developer you don't care. So at the hack, if you have a question like that, okay, if that happened, like what can go wrong? And without the hacker mindset, you may not understand what can go wrong. Right? So that's why reason I want to combine the hacking together with development here, because with the hacking, you will do the hacking and you know, okay, if we do this way, this is something will go wrong, right? So let's say, for example, one of the hackathon we will do in this class is SQL injection. And then let's say at the hacker, they could put, they could not put like regular username and password. They put something like this. So if you're familiar with SQL injection, you know what does this mean. But if you're not familiar with SQL injection, it's okay. I will train you later on. But I just give you an idea about this. Uh, this one mean this will be go to the SQL in your code, and with this SQL, it will end this one or one equal to one. It means that it will return true every time. And then it doesn't matter what input you provide, it just bypass the login. But it's not simple like this. This is just example. In the real world hacking, if you try this in every website nowadays, like 99.9% is fail. It's not easy like that. So with the hacking, it's not just like you know how to hack, but you will understand like the way it's work and then the way to avoid it, right? So I give you some example like in this class. So in this class, we will do this. We will develop the code and then we do some attack like this, and then we fit the code. And later on, we will, you know, we will change the code, make sure that the code will be secure and robust, so robust, like against this attack, right? So this is one example. Um, so the idea is that hacking is not just to hack, and I just highlight that hacking is not attacking. So hacking is the way that like you know how to break the system, but that is not the real system, right? So you know that if you attack a real system, it's going to be a criminal, right? So do not do it, right? So this one is the one that we do like the inside our environment only. As I mentioned earlier, so hacking is not just to hack. Hacking is to understand the security system engineering, how it's work, and how to make sure that like you know, you can secure your code. And you learn a lot of different techniques. For example, you have to reverse engineer the code. You need to debug a program. You need to understand, a lot of things. Like for example, in the SQL injection, like you need to know. So let's say uh, here, for example, I'll give you this example. Uh, you understand how it's work? Why why we have this something like this? Why do we need something like this? If we remove this, how does this work? So it's a very small thing, but it's very, very technical understanding, right? All right. And of course, you want to defend against this vulnerability. You don't want your code to be vulnerable to this. And of course, with that, you could design the system that is secure, right? So that is one simple example. I give you another example, and this is the real example, and you will anticipate, you will experience this. Uh, so let's say if you are a PayPal user, you know PayPal, right? So PayPal is one of the financial system that they uh, implement the payment system. You can pay whatsoever, right? E-commerce, right? You can transfer money from one account to another account, something like that, right? Um, and of course, they secure that require two-factor authentication, like Canvas here, two-factor authentication. Um, so let's say you are the user, uh, and you receive the link from your friends. Click on the PayPal, right? Do you think it's 100% safe to click on this, given that this is go to PayPal? It's not the phishing email. It's real PayPal. It's go to PayPal.com. It's HTTPS. You 100% or 99.9% sure it will say it's safe. If it's not safe, what can go wrong? All right. So since this is like most asynchronous class, so I don't want to take more time for this one, but I can tell you that in the past, about 15 years back, PayPal vulnerable to an attack. It's called cross-site request forgery attack. Cross-site request forgery attack. If you Google for that. So what this attack does is that when the user, the victim, let's say the victim click on the link, what happened is that it's go to the PayPal account. And at that time, that user already logged into the PayPal account. So what happened was it's transfer the money from the victim account to the attacker account. It's called cross-site request forgery attack. So without doing the attack, you do not understand deeply how the attack works and then how to prevent the attack. Okay. So the question here is or who are the responsible for this attack? Is that the user? I mean, if you blame the user, it's very simple. But like, right? Uh, or is that like someone in the organization or is that internet provider? So none of them here are, technically responsible for this. Because the problem is not about, the virus or whatsoever. Yeah, this is something wrong in the application itself, right? Um, yeah, so um, that is the issue that the conventional security solution cannot address because it's something inside the application. But the even there are some vulnerability here and someone already detected their own way their own way vulnerability that the attacker discover later after the application already released. So in that case, it's called a zero-day vulnerability. Um, so the idea that like you separate between the development and the security testing is called like pen testing and batch batch is, I mean, that is the common in the practice, but it's not effective, right? So the different idea here is that we should do the security at the source. It means that the security should be integrated during the development phase. So that is the, the overview of, I mean, this is the reason why we do the hacking in this class. So what we do is that we do the web development and then we do some hackathon. So make sure that whatever you understand the hacking technique, your code will be secure with that technique. And as I mentioned, um, I um, I spent half of the time today to explain the title of the course, Web Application Programming and Hacking, right? So I explained to you the web application, uh, uh, the programming techniques, and then why we need the hacking together. So then I will introduce about this course. All right. Uh, so this course named Web Application Programming and Hacking. And I just explained to you why we did hacking over there. I already published the syllabus, schedule, detail on Canvas. And here is the short link. I'm not sure if you remember, but I hope that you will remember whatever you want to refer to the course. It's very simple, right? bit.ly/WAPH stand for Web Application Programming and Hacking, and then hyphen S24. You can access with your university account. Um, and in this course, as I mentioned, we will study the basic web application development. We cover from the front end, including, of course, the web page with JavaScript, CSS, and then the back end with the database, PHP and MySQL database. We will also introduce about some vulnerability during the development, and then we'll do some hacking. Let's say I will give you some hacking exercise, and as I answered some question before, you don't need to know any hacking before, of course, right? You don't know. So I will introduce to you the technique hacking, and then I give you the exercise. So the exercise will be a real application is deployed on a virtual environment. So of course you will not hack the real one. It's like you can call it is like half real because it's real application. So it's going to be challenging. If you understand the the hacking technique deeply, so you know how to hack, and then when you know how to hack, you back to your application, make sure that your application will fit problem like that, right? And as always in my course, I provide a project-based course, the same for this course. So you will learn whatever from the concept in the classroom, then it will be applied to a project through some hand-on labs. Almost every day we have a hand-on lab. Um, so yeah, we are not sure that like because only three students in the class right now. I think four register, but only three. I'm not sure what should we do. I'm happy to come here, but let's see. So normally during the class, I want you to do the hand-on together with me. We have three, four online live students as well. And then we do the hackathon. Like after some concept, we do the hackathon. Um, and then we have two individual project and then a team project. Uh, so for the course, normally I will have some multiple choice quizzes. So normally with live version. Um, but here majority of class is asynchronous. So I will post a survey after the class so that make sure that people asynchronous student can should watch the video. Um, and then every week I got the quiz I will explain in the class. I give you the key in the class. However, I will not give you the key in writing. So it's very important that you note the key. You understand, you know. So every week I will post that on Canvas so that you answer the key. So I hope you get 100% because I give you a key already. Um, and then at the end of semester, um, I ask you again, like together, on together, it's one at the final exam. It's a good deal. All right. So for the hand-on exercise, you don't need to know the language or whatsoever, right? Normally my lab will give you like from the Hello World program, and then we go from there. Um, and then we do the individual project, two individual project. One is front end, one back end, and that project will be combined together as the team projects, right? Um, and as I mentioned, you don't need to know any of these languages. So we cover the CSS, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and then the back end will be PHP and MySQL. So yeah, so this is my philosophy for teaching. Just a short summary here. You need to do it, right? So if you do not do it, you do not understand it. So that's why I focus on hand-on a lot and project based. Um, so the for the I plan to have a multiple choice quiz for now. We have six, four students, three students here, two students online. So maybe I pause us for the end. So normally I have a quiz question. You log into the system, and then you answer is, and then you talk together, and you answer again, and then I give you the key. Right? But maybe we skip this for now. Let's say we do it um, maybe at the end of the class, right? All right, so the topic we cover will be the web and web application, client-side development, server-side development. We do version control with Git and DevOps as well. So DevOps is some of the things we cover later. And then um, the security, we do the hacking, and then we also introduce like how you secure the code as well. So these are some topics. For the hand-ons, I have four labs. Like it's kind of modules. Like the first one is the foundation of the web. But before the lab one, we have a lab zero. We will cover next lectures. And as I mentioned, I already paused the preparation for you so that before the next lecture, you should have your Ubuntu set up and run. And then you have a Git repository. So next class, I will ask you to install some application, do some exercise with Git. And for the Git, you need to write a report for your lab, your project, whatsoever, using the Git README file. Uh, that is the very common and kind of standards in industry right now. Um, so that is lab one. As I mentioned, I will walk you to understand the foundation of the web, including the HTTP, because like web 0, web 1, 2, 3, even 4 is based on HTTP. Um, then we do some simple web application. So we already have a web application in lab 1, but it's like just the hello world, right? So then in lab 2, we will do the front end development. Like we start from very simple HTML, and then we develop further and further and further. And then lab 2 will be your because it will belong to your um, individual projects. That is project 1. And then we learn from front end. We need the front end for the back end, because the back end will return the result to the front end, to the client side, right? So we do the lab 3 with that the front end, and then lab 4 we combine together with the fully application. Um, I I have some highlight here. Um, what does this mean by the lab if you're not familiar with this? So the lab are some just hand-on exercise, and mostly I give the code to you. I explain like step 1, step 2, step 3, why that work. And what I want to note here is that I highlight red here, like do not copy the code and paste the code. Mostly it's, I mean, my code's working. However, when you copy, there are some, some end code whatsoever. Like for example, the quotation, most of the quotation. So maybe it didn't work. That's one reason. The other reason is that if you do not type by yourself, you will not, have fun with that, and you will know how to code, right? Because uh I want to know that I want to remind you that most of the technical interview require code by hand. They do not ask you to write the code and run it. They ask you to write the code in Google Docs. You know that, right? So it's very important that you need to write the code by yourself. For the hackathon, I will give you a series of exercise, including cross-site scripting attack, SQL injection attack, session hijacking attack, cross-site repository attack. Um, so for SQL injection attack is the one that I just mentioned to you earlier. Cross-site repository attack is another attack I just mentioned to you earlier with the PayPal. Right? So we cover some of this. And then for the individual project, we will have 2 projects. The project 1 is extended from lab 2, where you develop your professional homepage with some requirement. So I will grade this at your employer, potential employer. Let's say when you want to apply for a job, you want to impress your potential employer. So how can you show up with that, even it's just front end, right? So that one will be published on the cloud, let's say using GitHub. So you publish on the GitHub, and it will be shared at your professional, you know, um, uh, profiles with some advanced requirement at the project. So for project 2, well, it will be developed from lab 4. That will be a simple blog system, like simple, uh, like like Facebook or something like that, but it's very simple. Like you post something and you can reply to something, right? And then for your team projects, um, it will be uh, based on your second project, second individual project. It will be a project that I will ask you to develop a real-time and secure mini Facebook application with some detail. So this real-time means that like, okay, you need to apply not only the web application development, but also the security. Let's say all of the security problem will be avoid in your system, right? Um, and of course, this project I will guide you as well. So I will introduce to you at Agile development, software development that I highlight here. that is one of the practice that every software company they're doing nowadays. So for that reason, no single person team will be allowed. So at least you have two people work together so that you experience how you work in a company. You know that nowadays, like except for a startup company with one person, you never work alone. So that is another practice I want to do. So if you do not have any friend in this class, use the discussion tool on Canvas to find one. I mean, as soon as you have a team, you can work together from now. All right. So we have about 30 minutes left. So I cover the course title um, with application development or programming and hacking, and then the overview of the course. Then for the last 30 minutes, I will talk more about the logistics of the course, protocol, and advice. Uh, as I mentioned, like this is the first time I offer the course in asynchronous course. So I'm not sure how it will. Um, so right now there are 130 students in that asynchronous, and there are more students asking me to join. Um, so as I say, like let's try at least this week in person. Whoever. So I know that there are four. Is that you swap from the other session? But did you swap or you original? You swap, right? Yeah. So there, I think one more register for in person. Um, so I prefer to keep in person, by the way, because um, uh, but I mean only three, four, so it's a little bit challenging. But we can talk later. So back to the logic date, right? So we have 15 grids, uh, and with 10 is the sprint break. You know that, right? So today, the first day of the class, the first day of the semester, uh, and we have a week one, and we will have a lab one in the first week, uh, unfortunately. So so you have to do it. So my class is like hand on every. My normally lecture and hand on labs are together. So my class is last way. So that's why I really prefer like in person so that we can do together, except for first class, of course. Um, and I already paused the homework for you to prepare for lab zero. So next class we will cover the lab zero. And normally I will give you the deadline until 16 is next Tuesday, right? So I introduce to you, for example, lab zero. I will introduce you next this Thursday, but it's due on next Tuesday. But I do not recommend you to wait until the end to do that. I just give you the time because it's more flexible, right? Um, but I want you to, my expectation is that after the class end, you should finish a lab because it's very simple. It's not complicated. The lab is, I mentioned, I give you the code already. So that's lab zero. Then so lab zero is very simple. Lab zero is you use the Ubuntu, you install the Apache web server, you install PHP, you install Chrome, um, you install Git, right? And then you will clone the Git repository, and then you do some exercise with Git. I know that some of you, few of you are familiar with Git, but many of you are not familiar with Git. So we do have exercise to push the Git, comment, commit, something like this. So in lab zero, it means that you are prepared for the course, right? So that's which one. Then with two, we will with two and three together we will do the lab one and lab two. So lab one is also simple. Lab one is just one lectures. I will introduce to you at uh, the foundation of the web, how to understand HTTP, request response, how to understand the web application. And then lab two, we do the front end development until week four. And then after lab two, we will have an individual projects. So if you can see here, the individual project will overlap with lab two. So it's important for you to manage your time. Is that the reason is overlap because individual project one will be based on lab two. So it's you can do together, right? Um, and then after lab two, we will have hackathon one that we understand about cross-site scripting attack. What are that, right? Um, and my plan is that I will give you the hand-on exercise inside the class. So as I mentioned, I give you the tutorial step by step how to do the hacking. And my expectation is that you should finish after the class. But I give you the time, like 84 hours, like 2 days to finish the lab. Right? And of course, we have a TA, the Ryan Rohit will come um, later on. We have a two TAs to help you with that as well. Then lab three, we do the back end. So if you see here, lab three is a little bit longer than lab two. And then after lab two, three, we have an individual project too. Um, and then we do the hackathon. Uh, then we do the full stack development with lab four. And then after lab four, we do the hackathon three, so that we do some other like session hijacking attack. And then from there, we will finish uh, the team project together. So I will walk you through some of the, as I mentioned, the lecture will be for your projects, and then we do the hackathon for that's all as well. Um, so for the assessment, um, as I mentioned, I will post multiple choice every week. I give you a key already, so of course you should know the answer if you pay attention. Uh, so you have 5%, and then at the end I ask you again for like in 14 weeks together, and it will be 10%. That is final exam. Um, some professor don't care whether you pay attention in the class or not, but I do care because if you do not engage in this class, I don't know how can you succeed with the class. So I give 5% of the participation. And as I mentioned, this class is a little bit complicated because we have like in-person, online, and asynchronous. So for the uh, I will try next lecture to see. I mean, if we still keep this way. So I want the asynchronous student who watching the video right now engage in this class by doing some discussion on the canvas, and I give you some quiz. This is not the quiz, but some survey to make sure that you watch the video because if you do not watch the video, I don't know uh, how can you learn the class. And of course, like it's going to be you see a 20% of the labs, the hackathon project, individual project, and team project together. Right. Uh, my class normally very generous with a lot of extra credit. So you can earn the extra credit one. Um, yeah, so that is the general logic test. For the advice and classroom protocol, because yeah, because this is a little bit um, um, three different sessions. So normally I recommend people to pay attention during the class time and do the hand-on together with me. But with the asynchronous, I'm not sure how it works. So maybe I will ask you to pause the video when we do it and do the coding when you watch the video. Again, here it's very important that you write the code by yourself because uh, so except for these lectures, I will post the slide before the class so that you will have a slide hand-on before the class so that you can note inside. Uh, the code also given already. Um, that's my promise. Okay. So you should have a slide before the class, and you should at least you skim the slide like okay, what going on over there. So during the class, I will have a multiple choice as I mentioned. Um, and then for the asynchronous, I will about the video will release on Zoom, and I believe it will be on my media as well. So I will send the announcement after this. Make sure that the asynchronous people can watch the video. Um, the for the multiple choice quiz, as I mentioned, I explained to you. You discuss with your peer in the class, and then I explain to you, give you the key, but it's not uh, provided in writing. So make sure that you have a note on this. Um, and then every week I pause quiz we discuss in class at the end of the week so that you earn 5% of that. Um, and I mean, for in person, I recommend you to attend every class if possible, right? And uh, do not skip at least, I mean, watch the video for the class. Um, there are some, so this class is mostly hand-on coding and also hacking. And some of you may not pay attention to this, but I noticed that like many of students do not pay attention about how to write a uh, good looking code. Um, so I go give you so I go ask Ryan Rohit to pay a lot of attention about this. For example, if you write a code like on the left hand side like this, and I saw that a lot. Like you write without any indentation, like just one line. That is not a good this. And I mentioned to many students saying that like if you write a code like this and you post that somewhere, your employer will not hire you. I mean, they will not hire you. So you at least you should practice some good coding. And as I mentioned, you do not copy and paste the code. Even you copy and paste the code, it may not work. And if you write a code, normally at first it will not. You need to. It's not bad, right? So it's very 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 common. Do not panic on that. So just read and understand. Normally there's error message. Um, Especially for the PSP is very very a little bit you know uh, challenging because they do not show the error message right away. So you need to figure out. So I will help you with that. Um, Another thing that some of you may not pay attention, but I want to um, let you know that because we use Git, your code just not in your system, but it will be pushed on the Git server. So um, the thing here that when you write some new code, you should push the code right away, even the code is not working, because I like some cases you lost to the system, you lost access to the system or your system crash or whatsoever, you still keep the code on the server, right? Uh, for submission, um, so normally the lab hackathon project will be submitted. And I will ask you to write some minimal report. Um, and next lecture, I will walk you through how to write reports. As I mentioned, the report you will write not using Google Docs like Microsoft or Google Docs or whatsoever. I will ask you to write in Git README format is called Markdown. So it's just plain text. So and you need to capture some screenshot with me. So some of the issue nowadays, the chat GPT, some professor worry about you student using chat GPT, but my exercise, like even you can use chat GPT, I doesn't it doesn't matter, but it's will not helpful for you because I will not ask anything that chat GPT can help you. All right. You have to submit on Canvas. Uh, some of students like submit by email is good not great because it's graded by the grader, not by me. Even you submit to grader, I will ask them to not grade because we will not keep track of that. So everything must be uh, on Canvas. For submission policy, as I mentioned, you will get some bonus. So if you submit like 12 hours earlier than the deadline, you get some bonus. If you submit late, it's okay. I do not have a like hard deadline, but I do not encourage you to submit late. Um, so if you, I accept submission like by the end of the semester. However, in that case, you get the maximum of 70%. And just the worst case scenario, I don't want you to do that. I do not encourage you, strongly discourage you to do that. So I want you to do this early submission because when you do the early submission, if you have some error or something, like you can resubmit to get credit back. And of course, you earn the extra credit as well. Um, uh, One thing that I want to know is that um, about the honesty, academic honesty. So as I mentioned, you should write the code by yourself. Um, and I mean, some cases, I mean, it's very few, but I don't want that happen. Like you get the code from someone else and put into your report. That will be not, it will be serious and it's violate the university code of conduct. So I don't want you to do that. I want you to avoid all of this, right? Um, Recommendation, as I say, before the class, you should read the slide. Um, and then if you come here in person or online, you should, pay attention a little bit, do the hand-on together with me. And if you watch the video or you have a slide, you should take note. Maybe you can just use the um, computer note or something because you can write on the slide. So it's it's your it's your files over there, and you do the hand-on coding. Um, as I mentioned, my expectation is that the lab will be done during the class. But of course, if you need something sometime later, you just spend like very least hour, very least time outside the class for the lab. Of course, for the project, it's different. Project, you need to have more time, right? For the lab, I want you to spend during the class so that you can finish this. And do not wait until the deadline. But I know everyone busy, but because if you wait until the deadline, you cannot. Yeah, I mean, if you have something wrong, it's hard to manage this. Um, and even um, there is some, for example, some small error will prevent you for the rest of the code. So it's good that if you have something wrong, you pause on uh, discussion board so that we can pay attention to your error, right? For the classroom um, communication, um, um, I mean, I received a couple of emails recently. It's okay for now, but in the future, I want you to use the Canva discussion board for that one. So that I ask you to post any question. So for example, if you have problem with this and you post some question, we answer you over there. Some other student can read through that answer, and then it's benefit for that. Um, so the question you may ask, I mean, maybe you already asked by yourself, but um, yeah. So why you study this course? So I just highlight some here. Like as I mentioned to you, this is a new course here at the University of Cincinnati here. But I I have slide about myself later. But I am a faculty member at University of Dayton. I'm on sabbatical leave, and I spent one semester here. So this is the new course that I combine between the development and hacking together. Um, and my uh, objective for my course is that I want to give you the real hand-on experience for job market for well prepared. So I give you some just example of how my course benefits students to get job in the industry right now. And I have some slide for you how to prepare for the job market. So for example, you should practice on the some online platform like this, right? Um, and uh, if if you apply for internship or whatsoever, um, just talk to me if you need any input or any recommendation. Um, Maybe some of you already have a job offer. uh, so yeah, so this some resource that um, um, I list this for you. So in case you prepare for the job interviews or job search, right? So I will post this slide after this for you um, to read as well. All right. So next, thank you so much for your response to the survey I asked you. So I received 109 responses. That's great. However, I think maybe about 20 students didn't respond yet. It's okay for this one, but for the required survey, if you didn't respond, you will not get the grade, especially for asynchronous people. So I asked you a couple of questions. So one question I want to highlight here is, what is your expectation from this course? And most of you uh, mentioned about web application development, and yes, so we will cover the web application development, right? Uh, and I just want to show you some of the response you have here. Um, Okay, so most of you have the intermediate um, language proficiency. That's great because, as I mentioned, oh, now 110. So yeah, so you don't need to know PHP. You don't need to know JavaScript. It's fine. But at least you know how to program in any language, right? So that's good. Um, So most of you have a web applications development before. Some of you have no experience. Uh, some of you familiar with database. That's good. Um, and then for hacking, most of you have no experience. It's okay, no problem. For Git, right? So for Git, I think 20% have never used. Uh, like 50% familiar, some intermediate, and some expert. So it's okay. If you never use this, I asked you to watch the video as I mentioned earlier. That should be okay. And of course, I give you some tutorial for this one. Yeah, so it's me. Um, as I mentioned, I'm associate professor at UD. I'm working on like software security, web security, cloud computing. So this semester, this academic year, I'm on sabbatical leave. So I'm joined UC as a visiting scholar. So I teach this course, and I also doing some research uh, in security. I have my office in the Stockholm over there. And my office hour is before the class time, 2 to 3 Tuesday and Thursdays. Um, and then we have Tin Rohit is here. Yeah, so we have Ryan here. And It's on a syllabus, so he have an office hour on syllabus at TA and grader. We have Rohit earlier here. He's busy with something, so we have two because it's a big class. So we work out our this, yeah. Yeah. So we just introduce like about TA. Yeah. So we have two to help you. So um I will post his office hour on the syllabus as well, so that you can reach out if you have any question. So the idea is that our office hour will not overlap. So it's, I think Ryan is Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 3:30. Yeah. So did you have an office hour yet? Yeah, just you. I mean, find that one meeting and then just. Yeah, just let me know and then I update. All right. So is it about the time? Um, and then you need to do homework. So this homework I already post. So I will not. I already record a video as well. It's about 15 minutes video. So it's on Canvas for now. If you didn't do that, please do it. Um, I know that like about half of you already submit to me. So the homework is to set up a Ubuntu virtual machine on this system. It takes you like maybe 10 minutes to do. And then for this one, you create an account on GitHub with your university email. And then you log in and create a RESTful, a private RESTful, and share with me. So we use the common account for that one. Uh, so that is the homework you need to do. Um, I post that on Canvas before the class time, before the semester start, but um, I do not ask you to submit anything because I don't want to pressure you. However, I do recommend you to do it as soon as possible, but not later than next. Of course, for synchronous person and in-person class, um, we need to have that before and for that one. All right, so um, so I think we're about time. So maybe we skip the quiz for now. Uh, um, so okay, maybe I can give you the plan that the quiz, but I will so this is the quiz that I asked you today. Uh, so we normally we use the system, right? So maybe we can just do it like what is the difference between the web application and web page? So I already explained to you before, right? But as I mentioned, maybe we spend this time to discuss later. I just want to uh, mention about today. So today I covered the overview of class and I give you some idea about the class. And I want to get your input as well. So for on session, this is will be discussion. So I already post on if you log into to Canvas, you will see now that you will write what is the summary of the course and what you feel excited about the first lecture, about what I present today. If you have any recommendation and anything, so I want you to post like by next Thursday, by Thursday, and then by the end of Thursday. All right, and then yeah, Thursday we will have a lab zero. The tutorial is to set up your environment. So it's still it's hand-on, but there's no new concept over there except for some of installation and do some Git exercise. And next week we'll start with the foundation of the web, and then Thursday we do front-end web development. All right. Yeah. So I will stop recording for now. Um, and if you have yeah, I can stay a little bit longer